Anti-apartheid activist Neil Aggett's partner, Elizabeth Floyd, says that 38 years later, and she still doesn't believe that he committed suicide.
She testified on Thursday at the inquest into Aggett's death in the High Court in Johannesburg, giving details of the days leading up to their arrest, their detention, and the news of Aggett alleged suicide on the morning of the 5th of February 1982.
Floyd spoke to the SABC news journalist Nozintombi Miya about her experiences.
The inquest into the death of Dr. Neil Aggett in police custody has concluded for the week. It's been an extremely emotional week. Some of the witnesses on the stand that have come forward have been Dr. Aggett's sister, Jill Berger, and his long-term partner, Dr. Liz Floyd. And we speak to Dr. Liz Floyd about some of the testimony that she shared with us on Thursday when she was a witness on the stand. Thank you so much, Dr. Floyd. One of the big issues that came out from your testimony was around the debilitating effects that solitary confinement had on you and your subsequent PTSD. Talk to us a little bit more about that and how long it took for you to get to a point where you could start dealing with it.
Okay. Post-traumatic stress disorder is now extremely well recognized. Historically, it's shown up in war veterans, but it was only in 1981 that the American Psychiatry Association registered it as a diagnosable condition. So I was one of the first detainees where it was formally diagnosed. I was admitted to hospital after Neil died, and I was under the care of psychiatrists in the public hospital under the University of Witwatersrand. And that was very important because previously detainees had gone into the private sector where these things could be hidden. And then after me, a number of other detainees were admitted to the same hospital. And that occurred over future years. And this set of detentions were different in that the scale of organization and mobilization around the detentions was very well organized, led by the Detainee Parent Support Committee. And in the Biko inquest, what was exposed was physical assault of detainees and the neglect of injured detainees. Around Neil Aggett's death, the exposure was torture, but also the psychological effects on the detainees, because at the time the security police claimed that he had hung himself because of he didn't cope with the detention well. Now, a few went to the TRC. I haven't studied it. I think only Erasmus referred specifically to Aggett, and he wasn't on the interrogation team. He was kind of a support person. He was in the security police, and he was very active in my harassment in the years after I came out. But they've died, and particularly Whitehead and his seniors decided not to go through the TRC. Now, if you don't go to the TRC, you are then open yourself to criminal charges. But they decided to hide it. Now that he's died and other people have died, it's very difficult for us to find out exactly what happened. The advocates are trying to piece together what little bits of information we have, and I was providing what I was able to put together from what I saw at the time and what came out afterwards. And they were noting on Monday that the photographs have not survived. So normal procedure on something like this is the police photographs of the scene of the death and of what was documented in the mortuary. Almost all of those are gone. So I actually, from memory, drew what I remembered, and Erasmus has submitted one photograph which correlates with what I was drawing. So in the inquest room court, when ex-detainees gave testimony on their own torture, not only were they under complete attack from the lawyers representing the police, but they also packed the courtroom with their own interrogators while they were giving evidence. So there was maximum intimidation, and they were very, very brave because they had no protection. They could have walked out there, been detained again, and tortured again by the very interrogators. And then we were also just noting, I was talking to somebody who's been detained before. The detentions and the torture were not in isolation. They were part of a much greater system of severe harassment and dirty tricks and potential violence. And as detention lost its kind of power, the assassinations increased. And I think all detainees, in the interrogation process, it was made very clear, we can come and get you, we can get rid of you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Liz Floyd, there, giving us some harrowing details of some of the torture she went through at the time before her incarceration, during the time that Dr. Neil Aggett was arrested and was found hanging in his cell, and after the 1982 inquest. With that, it's back to you in the studio.